kids in my grade believe that the whole Titanic sinking was only a movie and never actually happened. What are the stupidest things you've ever heard? Speaking of Titanic, a girl in my class the other day didn't understand why they didn't just all grab something that would float and jump in the water. She thought they all survive like that, for which my friend yelled at them because the water is freaking freezing. I'll never let go, Jack. LOL JK, I'm not sharing my wardrobe boat with you. Last year in history class we were reading about different areas of the world, and at the moment we were talking about Africa and the Ivory Coast. A girl picked up a magazine which had an elephant on the cover and asked, "Why are we reading about something that doesn't exist? Everyone knows elephants are like unicorns and never existed." For a moment nobody said anything, hoping she was kidding, but after a minute everyone was laughing and the teacher told her to just sit down. Someone should take her to a zoo that has elephants. I'd like to know what her reaction to that would be. In HS, we had a power outage. The school decided to cancel class for the rest of the day and told our parents to come pick us up. As I was walking to the car with my dad, I overheard a classmate talking to her mom. What she said astounded me. I quote, "How can the car run if the power is out?" I have something related to the Titanic as well. This girl I was talking to at my college insisted that Rose and Jack were real people. I asked her how she knew this and she said it was because her parents were on the ship. Keep in mind this girl is about 19, so her parents would be have to 100 plus. I then ask how old her parents are and she gets angry and tells me it's none of my business. Some people just can't handle being wrong and will keep lying until they're right. I saw the cashier at a supermarket scan a dinosaur birthday cake and say to the customer, "Dinosaurs must be a hoax. People claim they were dug up in the 1800s, but all their names are Latin. Something's not adding up." That sounds like a joke to me. Every year I have to convince my world history students that, while not all Christians are Catholic, all Catholics are Christian. I literally have to show them a picture of a tree with Christianity as the trunk and the many denominations as the branches. You should put that up so I can show my wife. She tells me all the time that Catholic are not Christians. In 7th grade science class I was asked by a girl if Ireland was a planet. I replied with yeah, right between Pluto and France. She didn't question it at all. I hope you were not the teacher. I was doing a charity event for my university and we were collecting donations. There was a 9/11 truth conspiracy convention nearby and we were talking to some of those people. We told them we were raising money and asked them if they wanted to donate. A lady gives us fake bills with pictures of the 747s crashing into the WTC at the center of it, conspiracy theory URLs written on the edges, and Illuminati New World Order bulls all over it. She said, "You know 9/11 was an inside job, right?" And my Middle Eastern friend responded, "Nah dude, that was definitely us." Your friend wins major points. Give him a brofist from the internet. I went to South Carolina a few years back. I'm Canadian, and they thought I spoke Canadian, a completely different language than English. In high school our history teacher asked us if anyone knew what the Holocaust was. Without skipping a beat, one of the cheerleaders enthusiastically thrust her hand into the air only to exclaim, "Isn't that like the Jewish Christmas?" It still makes me chuckle facepum to this day. In a way it was, except the presents were tickets to labor camps, with complimentary showers and tattoos. I work at a piece of federally owned historically important land. I talk to people at the 18th century in the US. By far the best questions have been, did they have meat back then? They had women back then? Did they have guns back then? Wait a second, they had rocks back then? From a teacher no less. George Washington wasn't a real person. Not surprisingly, from a student of said teacher. Do you let the squirrels and cheetahs run around in the field and frolic and stuff? I'm pretty certain this person was stoned. Actually, some days, my job is just so special. 2 years ago my friend convinced this girl that Japanistan was a country and it was exactly between Japan and Afghanistan. Just like Afghanistan is itself a country halfway between Africa and Stanford. Hamsters don't have spines, so I don't know how it could break its back. My aunt, not blood related, to me when she explained how my little cousin's hamster had died. It can't be a power cut. My laptop's still on. a supply teacher who was covering my English GCSE class. She then complained for the remainder of the class that she couldn't connect to the wireless network and go online. She wasn't the smartest person in the world. I used to have ferrets and quite a few people commented to me that they didn't have spines. Yes, they are long and slinky, but they still have spines. WTF. There was a girl in my class in 8th grade that asked if George W. Bush was a general in World War III. It was the most unbelievably stupid thing I've ever heard. Well, not that far off. I went to high school with a girl who denied the existence of outer space. One time in science class the teacher put up a picture of the whole Earth as seen from space. She proceeded to argue that everything in the image around the Earth was obviously fabricated, and that she could see the brush strokes. Whoa. One girl in the middle of my Holocaust and genocide class asked the teacher, "Why hasn't Hitler been caught and killed yet? It's been like 80 years. I lost a lot of hope in humanity that day." Holocaust and genocide class. What? That mitosis and meiosis are identical processes, leading to the conclusion that an undeveloped human fetus is fully capable of successful human sexual reproduction. Two girls fighting in high school. One said to the other, "Is you dumb or is you stupid? It's a yes or no question B." Argument 1. Victory by bewilderment. I posted this before ages ago, but it is still the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I overheard a lady telling her friend that salt is bad for you because it is made up of 2 deadly chemicals and how she can't believe people use salt, saying they should instead use this plant substitute. I hoped she was trolling. She wasn't. Tell her about sulfur hexafluoride. That'll really blow her mind. My Spanish professor recently revealed he thinks Antarctica floats. As in, he drew the ice cap covering the land, and then he drew the land and mountains underneath the ice cap. And I thought, good job professor, and then he drew the ocean underneath the land. This is why teachers need to stick to their own subjects, because this man has clearly revealed himself to be an idiot. I had a friend who was smart in some ways but not in others. One summer she vacationed in Europe with her mother, and called me from France. Her description of their trip: "So, we went to the Louvre today. There is one in Paris, and there is one in France. We went to the one in Paris. Another time we went to see the movie Troy together." She leaned over to me in the middle and said, "I bet they're in that horse." I thought she was joking and started laughing. After the movie she said, "See, I told you they were hiding in that horse." I used to work with someone who thought that Chicago was a state and that Chicago City was its capital. In an 11th grade US government class, not only did a classmate think Chicago was a state, but another thought London was a state. I like how half of these are "I can't believe stupid people believe X" and the other half are "I can't believe I convinced a stupid person of X." Maybe we wouldn't have so many people believing stupid crap if you weren't always trolling easy targets. A conversation had while teaching. Me. This is Afghanistan. 8th grade girl. Afrastan. Me. Afghanistan. HGG. Afrastan. Me. Her. Me. Gan. Her. Gan. Me. Istan. Her. Istan. Me. Afghanistan. Her. Afrastan. Then I had to step outside and take a moment. My wife, preschool teacher, says that the proper way to teach long multisyllabic words is to teach them backwards to front. You. Stan. HGG. Stan. You. Istan. HGG. Istan. You. Ghanistan. HGG. Ghanistan. You. Afghanistan. HGG. Afrastan. I had to do a quiz high school and one of the questions was, when did World War II end? A girl then says there was a World War II. Well, to be fair, World War II was really more like World War I, Episode 2. Off the top of my head, someone in my biology class yesterday didn't know humans were mammals. Another thought there was a time difference in Portsmouth. I live in Greater London. Another thought Christopher Columbus spoke Colombian. Another didn't understand the meaning of "put these people in chronological order." I could go on. By chance are you in a special ed class? You want to really frick with their minds? According to some, the Titanic was built by J.P. Morgan after reading a book called The Titan, in which a gigantic unsinkable ship hit an iceberg and then sank. JP himself was supposed to be on it, but surprisingly he and a few of his friends had something come up at the last minute, so they couldn't make it to the maiden voyage of the most awesome ship anyone had ever seen. Long story short, almost all of the opposition to the central bank were on that ship and they sank. Shortly thereafter, the United States of America signed an agreement to allow a private bank to loan us our own money and that we would somehow impossibly pay it back with interest. If they don't believe the Titanic was real, they will never believe any of that. In 9th grade geography, a classmate rose his hand and, apropos of nothing, asked, "Mr. Swanson, is there a land bridge between Washington and Alaska?" Cue 5 minutes of everyone rolling in the aisles laughing, including the teacher, who pointed to a map of North America and said, "Yeah Willie, it's called Canada." When we finally got over it, the poor kid corrected himself with, "That's not what I meant. What I meant was, is there a land bridge between Washington and Hawaii?" Cue 5 more minutes of uproar. Iran isn't a real country. Stop lying. China is just under Spain. Connie could come and kidnap us. And much, much more. Now I'm picturing Spain as this magical cloud city floating over China. My friend swore that Cedric Diggory was in Ravenclaw and not Hufflepuff. It's nerdy, but it really rustled my jimmies. Got $5 for being right. Upvote just for using rustled my jimmies. One of the people protesting the Keystone Pipeline apparently said that he doesn't use oil because he rides the bus. I bet he uses plastics too. A girl in my government class didn't know what food stamps were. A guy told her they were stamps that you put on food and didn't realize he was wrong. I have a friend from Bahrain, but he is white and speaks with a posh British accent. One time in English the girl sitting next to him went, "So where are you from again?" "Bahrain." "Where's that?" she asked. "The Middle East." "Oh, so like Manchester." She also thought Afghanistan was in America. Water polo seems like it would be a lot of fun, but it must be hard to get the horses out of the pool after the game is done. Earth science class freshman year of high school, some guy was arguing that milk was an element. Also, later on, but the same guy, we didn't really know the shape of the earth. It could be flat, a sphere, or a pyramid for all we know. We were playing around the world volleyball in gym class once. Basically you make the serve and you name a country, and one of my friends, a huge smartass of a dude and just as big of a geography nerd as I am, decided to say Uzbekistan. He got disqualified by our teacher for making up a country. Me and my friend teamed up to convince him it's an actual country. We were playing with a blow up globe too and we pointed the country out to him. He still didn't believe US. He said that it was a part of Russia. Granted, it was back in like, say, 1990 or so, but this was like 2002. This was the moment I realized that a lot of gym teachers are really freaking stupid. I'm late to the party on learning things sometimes. College level. When talking about the Egyptian revolution last year, I had several students who believed Egypt was located in Europe. I met a girl once who didn't know there were fish in the sea. She thought all fish just lived in rivers. When I asked her where she thought whales lived, her reply was, "I never really thought about it that much. But whales aren't fish." It was something about me, but it was pretty dang stupid. I thought the Underground Railroad was a real railroad until like 2 years ago. In my defense, no one ever elaborated on it before. There was a girl in my biology class who believed fire was a living species because it consumed things and grew bigger. When we tried convincing her it wasn't real, she got mad and started crying. Growing up, my mom told me I was unwanted because she got pregnant with me from a toilet seat and I survived the abortion. I'm 21 and I am still afraid of public toilets. My study abroad group traveled from Germany to Spain for a school-sponsored field trip. We flew there on Sunday, went from Madrid to Barcelona, and were due back Friday night. Our chaperone guy gave us the option of sticking around in Barcelona since we had the weekend ahead, the only condition being that we would have to find our own way home. One guy was all about it and explained that he would party in Barcelona until Sunday night when he'd take a train and be back in Cologne in time for Monday afternoon classes. One girl goes, "You won't be able to do that." He asks, "Why not?" She says, "Because there is no train." Silly. He's really confused. "What are you talking about?" he asks one more time. "There's no train because Spain is an island. Take into account the fact that we had flown to Madrid from Cologne and never saw water the entire flight." I knew someone in a high school music class who was convinced that Beethoven secretly wrote every song ever. Everything from Ring Around the Rosie to Hit Me Baby One More Time. Nobody could convince her otherwise. My sister thought that World War II wasn't real and just a subject people used for films TV. You know, like alien invasions or ghosts or something. She also thought New Zealand was the capital of Sweden. Background: I work for a clothing company, and our trainers I guess have never passed 5th grade science. I was in a training class called Colors and Seasons and I was explaining how white is the presence of all colors while black is the absence. I was then scolded by every person in the class stating that I was stupid and that when you mix all colors together you get brown, so black has to be all colors. I then explained light densities and how when white light passes through a prism all colored light appears. I was once again told I was wrong and that I should listen better. I then drew a diagram showing how it is an impossibility that black is all colors and how the color you see is the refraction of said color from the object. I was once again told I was wrong. All in all, my trainers are extremely stupid. Well, if light were paint, they'd be right. Fortunately for us, photons carry light, not paintons. This'll get buried, but here, I love this story. This is in 8th grade. There's this girl, and she is, without a doubt, the stupidest person I've ever met. The first thing she did was, in the middle of a class discussion, go stand up, go over to the globe, and start staring at it. The teacher asks her if she had a question. Everyone in the room is already like WTF. And she says, "I kid you not, is there really a big, like, trench all around the center of the earth?" In reference to the indent that goes around the equator of the globe, where the two pieces of cardboard connect. Another time, and I don't remember the context for this one, she asked how they get highways to where they're supposed to go. No one really understood the question. Turns out, she thought that the asphalt was pre-assembled in a factory, painted and everything, not even in pieces. She thought the whole road was done at the same time, which is why she was confused as to how highways got laid down, and then brought on trucks and set down on the ground. I personally took the job of explaining to her how fricking roads work. I miss middle school. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.